Ròntí nìtí. Always remember whose child you are.
Who is Miss Okunade?
Buki Okunade, community mediator.
You are a Nigerian?
I am a Nigerian. I was born in Nigeria. I moved to UK at my late teen from a family of 8, and I believe that I'm the favorite. I hope my siblings are not hearing this.
You've worked in law as an attorney. You've worked in politics. Can we know the backstory of how were you able to get to this position today with all of these accolades? What led to that self-belief?
Some of the young people, they have it. They have intelligence, but sometimes they don't have the confidence. They need to be told that they can achieve anything they want to achieve. You have to, telling them that they have to understand that. I can wholeheartedly say that my father did play a huge role in instilling in me the fact that I could do anything. The resourcefulness it was like, and it's not like he would just sit you down and be telling you that. He uses some phrases, some African phrases. If you permit me, I'll say it in Yoruba and I explain. Please do. And he will always say, Ròntí nìtí, meaning that you always remember whose child you are, because himself, might not have had a law, but he built a good business, He built a good business, and he said you can do anything your mind wants to do. And also another saying is that iwa lewa, meaning that your beauty is your character. So when you do get there, it's not just by title, it's your character as well that, will show you. Because if you just get a title and you don't have that character, you're a failure, So you will always do that. So that helped me, those values helped me to push me to say, I can do whatever I would love to do, and I can impact my community. And I want people coming behind me to hold on to the fact that I've done it and they also can do it. So that's why when some people ask me, from, why I would write that book, it's like, how come you do all these things? And I thought that now that calls for a book. The book also is called The Act of Service. And it's actually my act of service to actually produce that book. Say, here you are, go and read it and see how you can touch, how you can be impactful, how you can do what you want to do, irrespective of your feeling as, am I good enough? Or, what would people say? Don't worry. So you can do anything you like to do. And I like that for our young people, to believe in themselves, because as my background, if not for my father, I probably would not think that I could do a lot of things that I've managed to do.
Yes, a very powerful and beautiful message, because I'm very grateful from both sides of my family to have had people who, not always starting in the best position, right? Some people start higher up with more opportunities, some don't. It's all relative, but no matter what, I've noticed with Nigerians especially, no matter where they start off with, there's something of this, that you've scratched the surface a little bit there with those phrases that your father said. Can we go deeper into why so many Nigerians? The stats show they are some of the most educated and people with the most qualifications when they go abroad in America, in the UK. Is there more specifically in that culture growing up in Nigeria? Was the goal, I'm going to go to England and do this? Or did that come over time?
It's like from young. In fact, sometimes, your father would want you to, I know nowadays people want to do what they like to do. Still, they should be able to understand that the belief that their parents have in them, that's why they're getting them to pursue some areas of work. They might say that, I want you to be a lawyer. I want you to be a medical doctor. I want you to be an engineer. I want you to be an accountant. All those things is helping, because you will know that it's not all the time that you have young people is focused as to what career am I doing? Sometimes you are even at uni, you may be lost at, what am I going to do? But if you had that from young, and the people that get back to you, your father, your mother, they know you more than you know yourself, and because from young, they know how what you like to do and how intelligent you could be or you are. So then they can help you through. So it's good to sort of listen, and it's good to, accept and appreciate, your parent. And, and that is a huge thing. It's a huge thing, because I do really appreciate my father, in terms of all those things that he instilled in me. I'm a one of, like I say, one of 8.
Favorite one.
It's the favorite one, by the way, And then, all those things. Even when my dad was doing his business, he would, ask me to do some of it, like do the accounting for me, or do this for me, or that. So it's like putting me in a place of responsibility,
At a young age, I'm imagining as well.
At a young age, I'm talking about at a teen age.
Okay.
I came here at 19, like 15. He could say that, okay, do this and do that. I learned. By the way, I went to a boarding school as well. So I went to boarding from age of 11. And till I did my A-levels, after 18, then I came to the UK, 19, to further my studies as well. So all those were applied. And it's like, you don't get tired at young. You don't feel idle. You just keep, you keep going, because you know that your future is sure, So I do, I do enjoy and I appreciate my upbringing.
Yeah, I think for me, the appreciation came a lot later, because when I was young, there was sometimes, and I think it's relatable to a lot of young people now, is there's a strong discipline in that West African culture that some people, you don't need to tell them twice. They just will go along with it. And others, they want to rebel. And I was in that stage a little bit when I was younger, and then it was playing too much computer. Let me take your Nintendo away. And I wanted to fight with my granddad. But only much later on in life, those boundaries of, this is an elder, we do not speak to them like this. You said first name basis. You can't speak like the same way I speak to my younger brother, to my uncle, to that. Only at like 20 years and above did I look back and say, I'm so grateful for all of that guidance. Because if you don't have it, then you can really find yourself lost. What's the message you would say then to a young person who maybe, it's easy to tell the young person, you should do this, but then they don't want to necessarily, there's a lot of distraction and a lot of different choice in these countries, in the UK, America now, a lot of freedom. How do you know which path to go down when you see someone saying, like on TV, people who look like me are doing this? I don't look like that counselor who is there, not everyone is lucky enough to have you in their postcode, so what would be your advice to someone who's just thinking, it's not for me, this world, I feel so disconnected from...
Personally, I think that when you're telling young people to do something this way, you really need to tell them the reason you are saying. Don't just say, do it. It's easy for parents to just say, do that, without telling you why. What is the consequences of your good action and your bad action? What are the consequences? I tell the young people that attend the broadcasting training in the tag radio, I tell them that your education is important. You have to, this radio thing is extracurricular activity. It's not the main. So you have to make it proud by making sure you pass your exam, with good grades, And why am I saying this? Because in the future, you don't regret that I should have passed, I should have done it. Because sometimes it only takes you an extra hour to study, and then you get the grade you should get, So I explain the reasons, and there are a lot of examples of good, of people making it, the success. There's a lot of examples of success. And if I say to you that, look at this example, what do you think about it? Which way would you rather go? The good example or the other example? But they would like the good example. But you take time to explain, not just think that, they know, because it's easy. What a child or a young person wants to do, if they don't see, okay, why not? They will always ask you questions. But you said don't do it. Why not? Why not? To explain why not, So it's important.
Yeah, really, it's making me think a lot about my childhood, where now if someone sees my CV or LinkedIn, they can see, masters, undergrad, this jobs, that job. At the time, though, in school, it wasn't that simple. I was very close to thinking, it's not for me. And I would come home to my granddad and say to him, yeah, but these teachers are racist. They don't want me to do well. And he explained, I can clear as day, see him telling me exactly what you just said there. Because it's not for them. You're not doing it for them. You have to put that aside, do this, study for your future. You're going to benefit. It doesn't matter about what the teachers, they've got their own lives. They don't care if you do well or not. So that changed. That one sentence really rewired my entire brain at that time.
That is exactly what I said my father would say, that remember whose child you are. You're not a child of a teacher. You're a child of me, and I want the best for you. So remember, when I'm telling you this, remember the reason I'm telling you this, because, parents, it's not like we're waiting for the child to feed me when they grow, but just seeing you progress is the joy. What make a parent be joyful? Like, that's my child. It's not like you're going to bring me money. Your money is for your own family, but I'm really joyful that you've achieved success, and, that's when they say you make parents proud, So that is what we have to tell our young people, not to waste time, not to waste, to waste lives, to do great things for the future, to better the society. They have to add, and I say to adults as well, what is it are you adding? You don't say, Britain didn't do this for me. What is it that you are adding to the society? What is it? Because for you to have a legacy, it's like you've done something. Nothing is, they don't say you have a legacy by just doing something for your own family or your own self. What is it that you do beyond your nuclear family or even your extended family? But you're doing it to external people that they say, wow, this person have done this, this person have helped this way, or without this person, perhaps I wouldn't have done this or that. That is the bit, it's extra addition, that people really need to add, to think about.
That's a really key point you mentioned there, that some people will say, but Britain has done this. There's a tendency in this generation that often focuses on the negative of society, which I understand. I will never deny. There are problems that women will have that other groups won't have, that Black people will have that other people won't have. They are real. They exist. But the power I've felt with not only Nigerians, but people from other communities is that, okay, we acknowledge. We don't pretend they're not there. But despite that, we're still going to give everything. And there's so many examples. I prefer in my mind to focus on the positive stories than the ones who didn't, because it's bad that there is discrimination. But if I'm going around constantly with the headlights on looking for it, it's going to get me down. I'm not going to feel as motivated. So to go as a Nigerian lady arriving in London at that time, some people might say, but there must have been racism, there must have been this as a Black woman and this and that. So what was your experience like?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely there was, because my first, when I arrived, my first education was into business school, because obviously my dad was a businessman. I went to business school in Greenwich, Center for Business Studies. And I did marketing, I did advertising, and I thought it would be easy, I've got the qualification, So, and, in terms of getting a job, when the time comes to get a job, it was tough. A lot of them will just say, we keep your CV on file. So that is that. And they say, don't think about, am I not good enough? Of course I'm good enough. You have to just believe that you are sort of good enough. And if one thing doesn't work, another thing will work. And there's something I really want to say is if you excel in something, your excellence, make people want you regardless of your where your demography or anything. And I'm saying this, look at the sports. In sports, in sports, if somebody is, a good sprinter, people will cheer him, I'm running for Britain. They don't say, we want you to lose. No, because you're part of this system, because you're doing this for for Britain, then they want you to win. So be it in other areas of work, in other areas, be excellent. Go for, excellence, in whatever you're doing. So I've got young people, very young girl, and she knows what she wants to do. She wants to be a surgeon. She said she wants to be. And I can see that she will be a surgeon, and I'll be proud of her when she becomes a surgeon. I hope I'm still alive, because, by the grace of God,
of course,
I said,
always.
Always. So something like that is, how excellent are you? Do that bit and go for the high success, not just mediocre success. So obviously there is subtle discrimination. There is real discrimination. Even as I find myself sometimes being the only one in the room that is my color, the first. But you just keep going. Just remember whose child you are, and the legacy you want to leave behind, and keep going. And obviously, the faith matters as well. It helps as well, because with God, all things are possible.
That's really beautifully said. And I think that I remember as a kid being told by my grandfather that, acknowledging, not moaning or complaining about the discrimination, but saying, Hakeem, you probably will have to work 1,000 times harder to get the same recognition. That's just the way it is. I feel like the mind, we can use that and focus it in a negative way. That's not going to help me. Or I can say I'm in England. Compared to 99% of the world, I'm privileged. I've seen how my family, where they came from in Pakistan, difficult conditions. Now I'm here. I know there are problems here, but compared to the rest of the world, I've got these opportunities in front of me. Am I going to dwell on the bad? Or as you said, focus on that excellency. And when you do that, as you say, whether it's in athletics, sport, politics, regardless of the race, with that mentality, no matter what obstacle comes your way, there is always a way, as you said, by the grace of God, to get there. But are there any particular obstacles that maybe how you overcame them that you could share? Because I'm sure there'll be other young people looking, saying, okay, but what about this? And what should I do in this situation? Because it's always nice to have like an older brother, older sister figure who can say, I did this. Don't worry. You can do that. Not everyone has it, but there's so many people now who have made it that, that advice I think will be.
Like I would say, obviously the obstacle, even in politics, in knocking for election, for people to vote for you, people have shut the door to my face to say, I'm not voting for you. Go back to where you came from, and then that hurts, but don't let that be the defining moment for you, Don't, because sometimes you need to knock the door. You can knock 10 door, and the 11th door is the one that will open. So don't stop her. God, I've been knocking door all day. No. But maybe the 11th door will open for you. And because you believe that it would happen, so you then keep going. And when it happens, people will just marvel and say, oh, wow, you've gone this far, But if you give up quick, I don't want anybody to quit quickly, because you have to look at your strategy. Is it the right strategy? And then you can, if it's not right strategy, check it and deviate from that and do something else. Like I did say, I've gone into marketing, advertising, thinking that, I'll be working for Saatchi and Saatchi, the executive, director, this and that. It didn't happen that way. Then I went, I did, LLM. Even my LLM was at a late stage. I did that at the age of 50 something, and nobody's stopping me. If you only allow people to stop you, they'll stop you.
That's powerful. So many powerful messages today, but I think that the theme here is perseverance, and it seems so natural in your attitude, in your energy, that you're just speaking, that it's just there. And I'm trying to think, okay, your father, the values, but it's so obvious here. But for someone who hasn't got that yet, how can they get that level of courage and perseverance in them to keep pushing? How can we instill that in the young people today?
In young people, I mean, the true communication, that's all. We encourage parents to communicate positive, lead to the young people, and for every adult to help those young people communicate positive things to them, that they can do things that will make themselves, the community, and the parents proud, if they just keep going and doing the right thing, because for everybody is some good thing that God has given them, So it's not just by saying, like, they will say that, oh yeah, it's easier said than done. It has to be said, and it will be done. That's how I mean. So people should not give up on themselves, especially, firstly. So I've had young people went through to uni and say, oh, the university didn't teach us life. They just taught us book. And when you come to life, then you realize that, wow, there is this lack of opportunity, this discrimination, there is that. But thank God for social media nowadays. If you want to find motivation, God is all over the place. Recently I was listening to somebody, I forgot the name, but he actually built business, huge business, and I'm thinking, how did he do it? I mean, he built a huge business from even himself. He said he had, the same, like the fatherly figure that was saying to him he could do anything he wanted to do. So if somebody from nothing can build business, and you're thinking that, oh, yeah, there's nothing you can do. You have to, in adversity, you think deeper, you think deeper, and you know how to go about things, It's not like when you are in affluence that you think. You don't think when you're in affluence, So it's even better if you're struggling, then you get to reach your heights, rather than when you're born to somebody, with silver spoon in your mouth, and you don't need to struggle. That doesn't make a successful person as such.
We interviewed a Nigerian recently. He said exactly the same thing there about, it's all, we accept that in Nigeria there are some problems, but we use that and channel that to just push us for that excellence there. And I like that you mentioned social media as well, because I feel like we know when people speak about diet, right? Health. Okay, this food is bad for you. This food is good for you. But I think it's the same now for social media. What do I put into my brain? Because if you look for negative content, you'll find it. But then if you also look for the motivational content, that's the food, the diet for your brain. I say that it's hard for me nowadays to turn on the TV in the UK, because when I see people that look like you and people that look like me, it's often not always a positive image. And there's a huge focus on, this is whatever culture. And it's not focusing on, like you said, success and positivity. It's focused on, I'm suffering, I'm in problems. And if you consume that every day, no matter where you're from, if you consume that every day, that tone of, I can't, it's okay to accept that we can't because of this problem or that problem. It really influences your brain. So I really encourage people you got to break out of that and feed your brain with positive stories, people like you, who you'd like to be. And then it becomes almost understood subconsciously that, okay, she did this, he did this. Yeah, I'm going to do it as well. I'm going to do even better. I want to show them they were the previous generation before me. Now it's my turn to go even further than when they were, not backwards. And I feel like sometimes people born here, we're going backwards. You came here 18, 19 years ago as a black lady where there was probably more racism and discrimination. And look what you've done. And I feel like the young generation, of course, sometimes we forget that, that we need to look forward.
Even in, I mentioned about integrity. It's good to really instill that in the young people, and not only young, adults as well. Because when I sort of went into policy, I always think about that. And when I wrote my book, and then I said, okay, a leader must be wise. And I actually found acronym for that. You need wisdom. You need integrity. You need to, think about system, in terms of how you join the dots, or how, forward looking, or whatever action you do has some effect, And then empathy, you need to empathize with people all the time. We want to make a society a better place, better place to live, a better place for, young. Sometimes people talk about generational wealth, but this is generational, wisdom, generational thing that you can do to move generation on from generation to generation. A society that is helpful to each other, that is helpful to the nation that they're building. And so I that is what I stand for. And so that, even after one has long gone, then, grandchildren, great grandchildren can say, oh, the values my grandma left, well, I'm gonna, hold on to it, So that is some areas.
I think finally, just to bring it back to Nigeria again, for those, I don't like to give the negative tone, but there is a thing that most people outside of that community, outside of the West African community, again, on TV, Black, Nigeria, these words are kind of all put together. The cultures of, you mentioned you work with people from the Caribbean as well. Okay, there's people are maybe Black, but the cultures are much more profound than, you can't just, like, in the same way, French, Spanish, Italian, German, these are all different cultures. Putting everyone together, I want to learn specifically to someone who maybe doesn't know much about Nigeria, the culture, anything, what would your message be? Like, what is Nigeria like? What are the people like? What is the culture like?
So growing up in Nigeria, the culture is like more family oriented, and then more, apart from family oriented, if you're in a neighborhood, other next door mom can have effect on your life or shape your life as well. So I don't know if you heard the saying that it takes a village to raise a child. So it's Nigeria. You cannot misbehave even on the street without another person telling you off. Your parent will thank them for doing it. They say, thank you for doing that. And then in terms of how I was brought up, the parents, we sort of eat together, play together, and help, each other. And for example, my brother, my senior brother, is like, when I came over, I actually lived in his house, like, he looked after me, like, my sister. So there is the culture of looking after each other, like fending for each other. That is a culture I knew in Nigeria. But obviously there are some changes which happens, So I'm talking about, I've been here now for 41.5 years, But so then they do say, I don't know if you've heard of this, the Nigerians are the happiest people on earth.
I mean, whenever I meet Nigerians, there's a lot of laughter, loud laughter, and a lot of smiles, It's never a quiet, conversation.
It's like, even if they're suffering, I'm not saying that it's good, but it's good for your system, It's good for your system. So, and obviously Nigeria is a nice country, and we want to talk it up. A lot of people talk Nigeria down, but we really want to talk it up. It's a, the large populated world. I think about 200 million people. Nigeria is huge, it's a huge country. So in terms of sort of economy and businesses, there are people that are really doing great, business-wise. And also there's a lot of religion in terms of Christianity, a lot of churches in Nigeria that anyways, I think. So those are the key things I can sort of remember. Obviously, I listen to news and I know sort of politically what's going on, but not that I want to be a politician in Nigeria.
You had a lot of politics in your life already, right? So, but when you mentioned about community, I feel like when I was a kid in the UK, I knew my neighbors' names and I would go to their houses as a kid and play. And I don't feel like there's that much of that in the UK, even in my lifetime, just 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So I feel like the community quote that you mentioned there is really powerful because not everyone has the same level of guidance at home. Some people are fortunate that they have that strong father figure telling them that. Some people, for whatever reasons, not everyone has the same guidance. But if you know that someone, it doesn't have to be a mother or father, an uncle, an aunt, auntie in the street can have those conversations and check in with them, I feel like the community is going to be more empowered. And I remember my granddad asking me, like, he would ask me to tell me about the other Ghanaian boys in school. If they're smoking, like, are they doing this? Are they doing that? And he would ask, if they are, I would tell their parents, and I didn't want to get in any trouble, whatever. But it's that, like, when you're a kid, you think, you don't want to snitch on anyone or anything. But now I'm thinking about his intention was that he's just caring about the young people. He wouldn't turn a blind eye to those things. That kid is not his biological son, but for him, it's still his son. You treat that person as part of the community. And I hope that, with initiatives like yours, but we can have a bit of that togetherness because it's really powerful. Just that other figure, because sometimes some people, they don't want to listen to mom or dad. Older brother, they might need older cousin. And it doesn't need to be biological brother or cousin or whatever. But when you see someone else there, you know what? I had that same problem. I used to smoke, whatever, but I stopped. Now I've studied, my life's better. Can change someone's life. 15-year-old, 16-year-old, they're not sure they're going to go down this way.
That way, People mind their own business. It's too much, in nowadays. Whereas, like what you said, if a child is being wayward or at the beginning of being wayward, and then the parents are aware, then they can change his life round before it's too late, But if you turn a blind eye and, that it's not my business or anything, then you're not helping. So neighbor, when I talk about, act of service, I cover everything, include neighborliness, how you need to care for your neighbor, how you, because, there was sort of a story that in where I used to live long time in an estate where unfortunately a neighbor passed away and was not discovered until like 4 months, Are we caring for our neighbors? So if you don't see somebody, shouldn't you check on them? Maybe they were just unwell and they couldn't reach the doctors. And then, so that is the type of service, society that I want people to input into. It should be a movement really that let's go back and be our neighbor's keeper.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to hear those things. And I've reminded me of times I've spent in hospitals in the UK and I was visiting my relatives and I felt we kind of built a relationship with some of the other people in the same ward because we would come in, we'd greet them. Oh, how's it going? Good afternoon, sir, whatever. But then we would ask them like, do you have any family members as well? And sometimes we were shocked because they said, yes, we do. And they don't live far, but they wouldn't come to visit, And I feel like I understand capitalism. I understand we want to work hard, compete, entrepreneurialism. We've spoken about why that's a good thing in this conversation. But when you're that individual that you forget, to your own brother and sister to check in and do that, it's gone too far,
And what is the essence of life, if you cannot be, avail your time for others.
So with Nigerians as well, there's this kind of go-getting attitude. Yeah. Could you comment on that a bit?
Yes, you're very right. Nigerians are all over the world, and they are go-getting. And it's like there's nothing and there's no industry that they do not try and, go into and excel in. So there's a lot of Nigerians all over, even in Britain, They do study, they do like, I've got masters in this, masters in that. But they are industrious people. They are. And then you have, market women that even they have nurturing their children, the young, and then they have businesses and they have multiple businesses, So, I mean, yes, Nigeria, or Nigerians are, very, very good. Like you said, go-getting people.
Community is huge, 200 million people is
huge.
And they are everywhere as well, right? I feel like the same, we joke that Pakistanis are everywhere, but Nigerians are also all over the world.
They are in Iceland.
A little bit colder than Nigeria there, though. I don't know how they deal with the weather there, but
they are everywhere and they do it. And the reason how you would know is the social media, You not necessarily know if you're just in the country and you don't know what people are doing, but if you go and you know, for example, you know, kudos to you, your channel here, you know, well done, honestly, you know, so people would get to understand the different cultures. They get to understand how other people are doing and how effective they have been in terms of the success they're achieving. So yes, Nigerians are everywhere, and I'm a proud Nigerian, British-Nigerian.
No, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, tomorrow we're flying to Ghana, but then hopefully Nigeria has to be another destination as well. Wow. And we can finally settle the debate on who makes the best jollof.
I can tell you now that Nigeria make the best jollof.
But I mean, the food in both countries, honestly, is delicious, you know. So
yeah, they are. If you go to the your GP or on anything, they will tell you, go back and be eating those authentic food. Don't eat, you know, the over-processed food. So they'll tell you, you know, that there's a lot of good food in Nigeria, Ghana, you know, like vegetable-based food, which is, you know, fantastic.
Excellent. Well, Ms. Okunade, thank you so much for your time and sharing your wisdom and experiences today. I feel like it's so important to show these stories and help to inspire the next generation. As you said, the legacy continues. Before we close, do you have any final messages you'd like to say?
Yeah, I think the message I would like to say is that people should believe in themselves. Believe in themselves, whether you're, you know, young or middle age or older. It's not over until it's over. I had somebody say that before. So believe in yourself, and you can still add value to your society in many ways, and encourage your young people to be a better person in the future, or the best they can be. It's just by you instilling that into your young people.
That's a beautiful message to end on. Thank you to everyone who has watched this video. Please let us know in the comments below. Maybe you've had some inspiration from this video, or maybe you have some inspiring stories as well that you'd like to share. Please check out Ms. Okunade's book, The Act of Service. We'll put all the links in the description to your information in the box below. And of course, if you've taken any value from this conversation, we'd be very grateful if you could subscribe and share it with someone else who you think could also be inspired. So that said, thanks again, and we'll see you next time.